Well, howdy ho, Stampers. Deb Valder here, your Fun Stampers Journey Coach, and today I'm going to show you how to do another card with our Hydrangea set. It's called, on page 24, it's called the Bloom Burst, and it has 3 sentiments in it and one beautiful, beautiful hydrangea. I've been showing you a couple of different things to do with the hydrangea, but today I'm going to show you how to do the black magic technique. It's not a brand new technique. It's been around for a while, but I just wanted to show you how beautiful it looks. And I know what's going to happen. It's not going to look as gorgeous on camera as it does in real life, but I will tell you this is knockdown, drop dead gorgeous. All right, so let's get started. The first thing I need to do is to stamp and emboss on my black paper. So let's get out a piece of this is our layer, our black layer, and I need my, this is called the colorless blender, and it's in our pan pastel section, and what I do is I just take and rub this over the top of my black cardstock. We're going to wipe it off afterwards, but for right now it's going to take and make the embossing powder not stick where you don't want it to be. So again, I'm using the colorless blender, the sponge that comes with it, and we are just going to stamp on here. So I need my clear pigment ink and my hydrangea, and it's a beautiful big hydrangea, so you're able to do a lot with it, like coloring and, you know, just things like that. All right. Beautiful. All right, now what I'm going to do is to take my media tray and my white embossing powder and just throw on my embossing powder, and then I'm going to heat it with my heat tool. And you'll notice it doesn't stick where it's not supposed to, you see, all around here. So what we're going to do now is just heat it up, and we're good to go. Let me grab my heat tool. So there is our heated hydrangea. And now what we're going to do is to wipe off the excess. So I'm just going to grab a soft cloth and I'm just going to brush off all the excess powder. And I'm going to do this at the very end also. You're going to see why. So this technique is called black magic. Like I said, it's been around for a while. It's nothing new, but it's going to be new for this little set right here. So the next thing I need to do is to grab my gesso. Now, why do I need gesso? Because if I were to take my colored pencils and stamp or color right on here, let me just show you. If I were to color these colors right on here, you can't even see them. Okay? But with a little bit with the green and probably a little bit with the lighter. So you can see the lighter colors, but the darker colors you cannot see. So I'm going to take my gesso and I'm going to just sponge some of that on. Well, I'm going to paint it on. So I just need a very little bit. I always put cellophane, this is just not wax paper, but saran wrap over the top of it so that it stays fresher longer. I'm going to take one of my old blocks, the ones that don't have any grid lines in them, and I don't need very much of this, but I'm just going to take a little bit and lay it on there. Now remember, gesso is water soluble. Artists use this for painting canvases first, so that they can paint over the canvas without having all those nasty little lines in. So it really does seal whatever medium you're whatever surface you're putting this on. So you want to put in, I recommend, you put in your cellophane and then your saran wrap and then your lid on top of that so that it stays moister longer. If you see that it's getting dried out because you don't use it as often as I do, just make sure you add a little tiny bit of water to it just to make it work a little bit better. So now I'm going to go in with one of our large blending brushes. I know this one has water in it because I have some washi tape on here, and mine are coated, my washi tapes or my blending brushes, so that I know which ones have water in them, which ones I use with the Blender Fusion. This one happens to have water in it. So what I'm going to do is just squeeze a little tiny bit out here. Oops, I got some red in there. Good thing I checked that. Hold on. So let's make sure we've got this clean so there's no red in here. Not that it makes a difference for this card, but I must have forgotten to clean it out the last time. Okay, all right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take some of that water, some of my gesso, and I'm just going to whitewash this whole thing. Just like this. Just cover in all the black parts on my hydrangea. Okay, so now we have, let's just clean that off, and we're done with that. I'm going to actually take and clean this off so it doesn't stick to my block, and we are ready to start working on this. Now let me let this dry a little bit. I'm going to show you how I did my congrats on the outside of it. I did that with one of our dies that we have. It is called... The hydrangea set is called Bloom Burst, and it comes with 3 sayings to go along with it. I'm also going to be using this little guy right here, which is the Designer Frames die. Now, you know the month of January 2018, we have a sale going on, and that is our pockets. This is my pocket, my Journey storage system, and they all go into our little cases and whatnot, but I'll show you what I love about my storage system. These little pockets, I actually store, obviously, my dies in there, but I also store all of the extras that I cut out with these. So I have a bunch of things already cut out. I also keep some samples in here so you can see what I'm talking about as far as how this is all, how this little frame works. So this is the birthday frame right here. Here's the thanks, and you can put the words on the top or the bottom, whichever way you want. So I could have taken and put the birthday down here at the bottom like I did thanks, but I decided to put it at the top this time. Congrats, which is the one I'm going to be using today for one of my teammates. And here's a birthday one, and I did put some Journey glaze all the way around that. It's absolutely beautiful. Here is the little belly band die, and this is what it looks like before you cut out the words. So if I wanted to put the word congrats, I would have it so that this little piece right here, this little piece that's not cut out, would be on the top. And if I wanted the word congrats on the top here, then I would just flip it around. I have an entire video on this. It's a product review. And it's on the Designer Frames die set. So if you want to see that and how this whole thing works, make sure you go on over there and check. It's not a long video, but it's a very informative video. So I'm just going to put my samples back in there. Oops, I missed. And we'll get going. So for this one, I'm using the word thanks. And let me just grab that. I've already pre-cut it. Like I said, if you want to learn how to cut this out, go over to my product review video on it, and you can see how that works. And then that one's just going to get framed around this piece right here. So while we're letting that dry just a little bit, I'm going to show you, here's my base card. So I'm getting all the pieces put together. And now what I want to do is I want to make my fork bow. So let's just get this out. While we're waiting for that to dry, I'm just going to, and it's probably dry already, but so let's just do the fork bow by going through there, around there, and then up and over. They're just so easy to make. I usually do doubles, but for a card this tiny, you don't want anything too big. And this just kind of sets it off to make it look really pretty. Alright, so this is just done with a regular table fork. You can get as big as a pitchfork if you want a super large bow. Just make sure that before you tie that second tie, that the front end is really, really tight. There we go. I always like to check it before I make the last tie, and that's really good. Okay, so there we go. Make sure it's pulled side to side because that's the way you want it to land when we take this off. So now all you do is just slide it off and trim the ends the size that you want. There we go. So there's our little fork bow for that right there. And now what we're going to do is to move this out of the way, move this out of the way, and we're going to just start coloring. Now, with the black magic, you really don't want to add water to this because we have the gesso on it. So today I'm going to use my colored burst pencils, and they are so vibrant and so beautiful that these are the ones that you're going to want to do use for the black magic technique. And remember, our pencils have a little palette up here to show you how to mix colors to get all of the colors that we have in our palette. And it has two sections of these, along with the watercolor pencils. We'll also have the two sections. So you definitely have every color that we sell to go along with it. You're also going to want one of our blending nubs right there so that we can blend it at the very end. So now we have this this hydrangea that is done with, I outlined it with our white embossing powder, and then I used our gesso on here. You know, so many people ask me about gesso and what it is. It's a covering for artists for their canvases, and it lends itself really well to this one. So now I'm going to take the colors that I want. This is a number 28, and I'm literally going to go over the whole thing. Just color in each one of the flowers. There we go. Now let's do the same with the green. So I'm taking the lighter colors of both of these and just coloring in, okay, just like that. Now, I don't know if you can actually see it, but it's so pretty, okay? So that's going to pick up the lighter blue right here, okay? That's called, that one is called Pool Play. And this color right here is called Pool Play, and it just picks up the lighter color. Now what we're going to do, and this is where the striking part comes in, we're going to start with our dark color. And what we're going to do is just start coloring in lines. Okay, just like that. Let me get this one all done, and then I'll show you the difference between them. And it doesn't take very long because these pieces are so, like, each flower is so tiny, but boy does it just look absolutely gorgeous. Now, I am going to show you how I blend this. So you're going to take your little nub, and what I do is I just take some baby oil, okay? There is something called Gamasol, but I don't like to use chemicals. Baby oil is just really good for, if it's good enough for a baby, it's good enough for me. And what I do is I just put a little tiny hole in the top of it and just put a couple of drops out. That's all you need. And then we're going to take and pick up some of the baby oil and just blend it. Now, if you get any onto your white parts right here, all you have to do is just take and erase it. All right? So this is just going to blend it in just a little bit. You don't even need to, but I just wanted to show you how it could be blended. But with this right here, because of the technique that you're doing, you really don't even need that. And then you can go back and you can shine it up at the very end. You see? Taking all of that color off of the white. It's just absolutely beautiful. So I'm just going to sit here and color these in. It takes no time at all. And we'll be right back. Okay, now let's take and blend some of our stuff together here. Keep that out there. All right. There. So now let's just take and wipe off the stuff that we don't want. And it is absolutely gorgeous. It just picks up some of the most beautiful colors. Absolutely beautiful. All right, so now let's put the rest of the card together. That's how fast it is. And if you like to color, this is the card for you to do. All right, so let's get those out of the way. Let's grab this. I'm going to put this on first, and then I'll put the entire thing on there. So what I usually put this on with is my Journey Craft Glue. And I'm just going to take and run just a little bit all the way around. I love this Journey Craft Glue. It comes out so fine. And then I'm just going to put a couple of dots. There we go. we're just going to add that to our layer right here. There we go. Alrighty, and now we're going to add that to our card base. Being careful because it's not totally dry yet. I'm going to add that with my Easy Glide here. Go. And then, okay, now that we have it attached to our card base, what we're going to do now is to add our little fork bow that we previously made, and we're going to add our pearls, and we are done. So let me just grab my pearls, and you can put as many or as little as you want on this one. With some of my other cards, I actually just put on just a few here and there, but I just want to tell you how breathtaking this card looks in person, as opposed to just, I don't know, it just is so breathtaking. I know the camera doesn't do it justice, but it really did come out good. So if I just put on a couple of these, this one I put on a lot, but this one what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take and find the ones that have that little, the little hole right there, and I'm just going to cover that up with one of the little pearls right here. So I'm only going to put on maybe 4 or 5 of them, but no card can have too much or too little bling. Alrighty, and maybe one here and one up there, and then I'm going to call it a day. Alright, so there's that. And now the only thing I have left to do is to attach my bow, and I'm going to do that with my Journey Craft glue, and it has to set for a little while for this, so I'm just going to add my bow and then not touch it for a little while. Okay. So that's my card for today. If you have any questions, you let me know. This was the Black Magic technique, and like I said, this new little mini catalog is just loaded. You only have 3 months, so make sure you check all the items in here and pick out the ones that you want. Like I said, you only have 3 months, and this month's special is a sale on all our blocks and our storage system. Make sure you check that out on my blog, because January 2018 is coming up fast, and you want to make sure you get it before the end of the month. So you take care, have a great day. You know how to get a hold of me, and I'm always here to help. Take care. Bye-bye.